Alrighty, here we are, and welcome to the Uninformed Fan this Friday. It's a pleasure to be here. Of course, this is a little bit different from our normal setup. Usually Tyson Thomas is leading you in and bringing you in and giving you the sultry sounds. But today, it is what we like to call a little Freaky Friday today. You got me, your boy Jeff Schneider hosting today. Jeremy Swinson is here with me as well, too. The three-time, the man, the myth, the legend, kickball legend. Make sure to follow him on Twitter as well, too. We're holding it down for you while Tyson Thomas is down in West Palm Beach or something like that is where he is, I believe.
Yeah. It is.
He's got a little memorabilia show or something like that going on down there. So it's going to be a fun show. Me and Jeremy, of course, have done our research, got everything lined up for you as well. We will have one of my good friends, TJ Tsanaidas, who will join us here shortly. We will be able to bring him in and get him hooked up. And we're going to talk a little bit about some fantasy sports, what we think about kind of midway point right now that we have as well, too, and what's going on in the NFL season. So should be a fun show. We appreciate you joining us here on the Uninformed Fan. It's going to be a pleasure to have you. Let's get things kicked off. What do you say, Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeff, your mic's a little hot today. We're going to turn it down just a bit.
Is it hot?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's coming across a little hot. I'm trying to watch, and this is what you guys don't see, the magic behind the scene. You know, I even tell these guys, hey, microphones are hot or this and that, but we're going to do it. Yeah, we got some great stats to do. We're going to talk about a Bears win.
Bears win last night, yeah. So what was your thought? I know you were at work. I know you didn't get to watch a lot of the game, but I'm sure you saw the highlights. So what was your thought process? Obviously, it's one of those weird situations where the Bears win and it knocks Carolina down, but you have Carolina's pick. So it's really, it's kind of one of those situations where, who really cares, right?
It's a win for us in the standings and in the projections of the picks. I saw a stat that said with the win last night and Carolina's terrible season, the Bears are now 42% to get the number one pick from them, as long as Arizona doesn't keep tanking with Tiny Tyler out there in Phoenix. But it was a win. I luckily, one of our good friends, Mark Fitzpatrick, once again forgot to take his birthday off. So I covered his shift, and I was on the dock bar, so I got to actually watch the game while we were busy, and it looked very similar to how I put a fat chick in a bikini. It was ugly. Wasn't a great look. 3 field goals in the first half, 1 touchdown in the second half. We win 16-13 because Eddie Pinheiro has no leg. And, you know what? As they always say, you don't see the score in the standings, you just see a dub.
Yeah, I mean, true, but they also don't cover, so if you had the +3 as well. Also, the under comes in as well, too, which is pretty crazy right now. Like, unders in prime time. I think our good friend Chad Breen sent us this message earlier today, which is hilarious, but NFL night game unders are now 23-7 this season.
Crazy.
Unders have hit 9 straight night games, including 13 of the last 14. Night unders are 63-29. Since the start of last year. Unders overall 84-52-1 this season. So as much as the NFL has tailored their rules to kind of help the offense and make sure that fantasy football is live and active and we have lots of scoring, it is one of those things to be interesting to see all these unders be coming in as well too. But it just goes to show some of the bad quarterback play. And I know I'm going to talk to TJ a little bit about this as well too. But man, Bryce Young, the number 1 pick overall, looks absolutely terrible. I mean, it looks lost. Listen. And you're playing him in. Sweat looks like a great addition as well too. The fact you guys brought him in, the fact that you're paying him as well. Kudos to you. You saw value there. You gave up a second rounder. I think I heard the comment that there's no second rounders that are going to be Montez Sweat. So if you can find the guy in his prime, you go get him as soon as you possibly can. But yeah, just the bad quarterback play, and Bryce Young just looks absolutely terrible. I saw Hayden Hurst had a few comments post-game about, Bryce Young had some words of motivation for them, trying to keep them into it. But, man, it's tough right now. What are your thoughts on the quarterback play that we saw? And listen, if you look at a guy like Tyson Bagent, who comes in, who is a D2 guy, who was playing like Wesley Chappell last year at this time, throwing interceptions to them, and he comes in and he's able to right the ship and get the Bears offense and, keep your bet with Frank Burgo alive on the 500 bet. Listen, a loss here was looking very, very bad. It's still not looking great, but at least you got a puncher's chance here.
I saw Frank last night, and I said, hey, Frank, there's 6 more to go, man. And he looked at me, he goes, you play the Lions twice. Your money's good for me.
Yeah, oh man, he's already spent that money on a cruise somewhere. I'm sure he has. I know how much that guy loves cruises, so that's going toward a drink package for him and Marla somewhere. I'm sure.
It's only $100 bill. It's just a Benjamin.
That's it.
I didn't go wild. Just
a blue face, baby. Just a blue face. That's it. Listen, we make them every day. We spend them every day. It's the way that it goes.
Exactly. Tyson Bagent, they said after last week's loss, we turned it over 5 times against New Orleans, and we only lost by 7 points. So that was a bright spot, and everyone's like, moral victories. Yeah, good, great brand. But last night he was able to no turnovers. The offense looked a little stagnant, I think, at times. I was watching afterwards. They were highlighting at halftime. We talked about how Tyson does a great job when he gets the ball, gets back there. You saw, like you and Tyson alluded to last week, you see his reads 1, 2, 3. They showed about 4 plays. DJ Moore running wide open down the middle.
Yeah.
Safety got bit on under coverage or under a route, and he's wide open. And Tyson with 1, 2, and didn't see the break, and then went to 3 and dropped it down low. And man, if he gets 2 or 3 of those throws, the Bears are putting up 30 points. And I'm still very happy that he went 2-2. Bears now do have 10 days off before we do have to play the Detroit Lions. So Justin Fields, he was looking good. There was actually a play. I think it was a third and 2 or third and 5, something like that. And I was looking, and they pan over to Justin Fields, and he says, "Let's go, Roshan." And I was like, man, back in the day, back when I was still back in Illinois, they used to have this game called QB1. You could pick the plays and predict the plays, and if you predicted the right amount of plays, you got all these points, and you could win money and stuff like that. And I'm like, they're going to Roshan on the screen. I just saw it, and the next snap the ball, boom, Roshan for the screen, and he gets blown up. I was like, I missed that. But it was good to see the Bears. The defense looked better. I saw Bryce Young was pressured on 32% of his snaps, which doesn't sound great, but when the Bears have 10 sacks coming in the game, or the team with the least amount of sacks in the NFL, we got pressures on him. He was only 3 of 14 during those pressures. So, Montez Sweat did his job, got double teamed, got some guys, extra guys to get some sacks, and we actually got some last night. So it was a good look.
The addition of Montez Sweat has completely changed the makeup of that team. I feel like, and to see him go in there, and I think he's had 8 pressures last night or something like that, and he's had the highest pressure rate. His first 2 games with the Bears, he had the highest pressure rate in the NFL. Guys just wreaking havoc out there. So it was a great pickup. Where do you see them going forward? Obviously, Justin Fields is your quarterback. They haven't committed to him, but this is going to be do or die time for Justin Fields coming in here. We're going to see what he's made of. I was very surprised that Khalil Herbert was a scratch. A lot of people, and we know, of course, our good friend Tyson Thomas, who is not with us today, actually traded for Khalil Herbert. He traded T. Higgins for Khalil Herbert. And out of all the ironic things that happened, and we were roasting him about this trade once again after he traded Aaron Jones for Justin Fields straight up. It was just whatever. Listen, Tyson's going to do what Tyson's going to do. Let him do it. There's brilliance behind that mind somewhere in there. But for my thing is that for him to trade for Khalil Herbert, and for Khalil Herbert to then be inactive after practicing all week, was there anything that you heard as a Bears fan in terms of why that was, or was there any explanation behind it?
I think they want to make, what I've seen and talked to people up there, they said they wanted to make sure he's 100% healthy. Yeah, he should be 100% after 4 weeks, but the way his knee bent back in that Washington game, even though we did get a dub there, his knee bent back really, really awkward. And we've seen that with running backs and players, and you talked about it a lot too. Coming off ACL injuries, coming off other injuries, you really have to play it safe, because those guys, their livelihood is to make cuts, to go around, to make people miss them.
Yeah.
And we've had 3 good weeks of Deontay Foreman. Brayton Evans as well has been doing great, and with the addition of Roshan coming back to that last night, we've got. What other place has 4 running backs that you could plug in at any time and put them in, and you're not worried? You got Deontay going the heavy stuff. He's going to go between the tackles. Roshan goes between the tackles, doesn't mind. Khalil can do it, but we want to get him out in space and in motion and use him. But I think it was a good, healthy scratch, because
and then you have Justin Fields as a running back too. So when he's healthy, he's probably the best running back on the field.
Exactly. And as TJ once said, he is the best running back the Bears have. He just can't throw. Looking at our upcoming schedule, Detroit, at Michigan. Then we finally get
at Michigan.
One of the last games at Minnesota. Sorry.
Oh, I'm like, man.
At Minnesota.
They're really trying to schedule down to make this 500, huh?
Exactly. At Detroit, at Minnesota, at then Detroit again after our bye week. Our bye week's week 13. That's one of the latest bye weeks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Then Cleveland, Arizona, Atlanta, Green Bay. I'm not going to lie, as a true fan.
Those last three are winnable.
The last three are winnable, yeah.
Cleveland, you never know what you're going to get, right? I mean, is Deshaun going to be Deshaun, or is he going to be, I don't know. Try to find a happy ending somewhere. We don't know, So I don't know. I think the schedule's not terrible. If you split with Detroit somehow.
If we could split with Detroit, we have a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Puncher's chance.
That's all you can really ask for.
And the last two seasons, I think it's been the last two seasons. Yeah, we've played Detroit to one possession games. Like literally, it's been like we're leading and then we blew it at the end. I think last year we did that both games. We blew it then. Well, no, not that one. The State game we lost 41-10. Never mind. But when we played them the first week, it was 31-30 we lost, and we lost that like right at the end. I think they hit a field goal. It was one of those whoops.
Yeah.
We blew it, and that was after 2021. We actually took a series. We actually won both games. So we've got 3-1 in our last 4 against them. I'll take that any day of the week. Let's just not have another 41-10 blip.
Yeah, no, for sure. Listen, I thought it was great. Congratulations to you guys on the win. It's fantastic. That being said, we're going to move off of Bears football here. I would like to bring in my good friend, TJ Tsanaidas, who's going to join us today, just to talk a little about, midway point in the season here that we have. So we'll go ahead and bring TJ in and get his thoughts on a few things we have. Listen,
I think that's him in the waiting room. I think that's him. There was 2 people, so I thought I want to make sure I got the right person.
What are the names?
I got UCF champ 56.
That would be TJ. Yeah, that'd be TJ. TJ is UCF champ. This goes all the way back. UCF champ is his poker screen name from many, many eons ago when he was, a world famous poker player online. Madden champion, fantasy football guru, one of the most people who I respect in terms of their opinions when it comes to fantasy football as well too. TJ Tsanaidas, welcome to the show, my friend. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, what a lead-in, right? No pressure or anything. I mean, I'm just over here, just really stroking the ego. I don't know what else I can do for you.
Yeah, an amazing introduction. Thank you very much.
TJ, I wanted to bring you in, we all have people who we go to and we kind of, bounce things off of whether it's about, fantasy football trades or, value that we find somewhere, or even, me and you talk all the time about our circuit picks and betting and, different things that we look at. So I did want to bring you on as one of the people that I do confide in and go to as well, and just kind of get your thoughts on what do we think about, kind of midway point of the season this year in the NFL. We're smack dab in the middle now. Fantasy football has been very interesting. For us, and me and you at least, the past few years in our big league, we've always kind of been at the top. And now this year it's very different with me, you, and looks like our buddy Mike Fitzpatrick vying for that very last playoff spot in the big league. What are your thoughts so far on midway point through the season? What surprised you the most so far in fantasy this year?
I mean, what surprised me the most in fantasy, I would say it's just the instability. You don't know when the injuries are going to come. Every year we complain about injuries. But also I think a lot of the teams, myself included, I wanted to target certain teams. I wanted to target the Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted to target the Buffalo Bills. I wanted to target certain narratives that were created in the offseason. Tony Pollard, Cowboys are going to run the ball. Green Bay is going to be playing from behind. And I think that it just gets tricky, you know what I mean? We don't know how good we don't know how good that team's defense, like the Chiefs' defense, has caught us all off guard. And now Mahomes doesn't have to put up stats.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to throw to Kelsey 15 times. So it gets very tricky, on just trying to predict. And I'm going to really focus on maybe trying to stop targeting teams next year, or the next couple of years, and really just focus on targeting the certain players that I like.
No, and I was the same way. Like I found myself in every league with Calvin Ridley and Christian Watson, and Deontay Johnson on a bounce back, and there was just certain guys that I felt like had an ability to pop, and so far through the first half of this season, it just hasn't happened. Whether it be Jordan Love's inability to really do anything until the second half, as well as inability to do anything, and they don't push the ball down the field at all. Everything is pretty much underneath. Everything is a check down to a running back. Between that and listen, if you would have told me week one, looking at Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley, that was going to be the best connection in the entire NFL, I would have called you crazy. And then all of a sudden, it's just the Jags are so good. Etienne is so involved in the offense. We had some interesting. Go ahead.
So. And this is not a jab at you, but I know in one of the leagues you guys targeted the Giants' offense, and as a Giants fan, it didn't seem that bad, right?
Yeah.
But let me just run a couple numbers by you that are absolutely mind-boggling. The Giants have put up 101 total points this year, right? The Bears, 101. The Bears' offense, who we all think have been horrendous this year, has put up 204 points. The Packers have put up 160 points. This is all next to the Giants, 101, right? And it's crazy to think that now that's a lot of it's due to injuries, right?
Well, you have no offensive line whatsoever.
It comes back to the point where it just you try to. You almost want to avoid it for any fantasy advice. Trying putting your eggs in one basket, and obviously you draft another guy you mentioned, Watson too. Like you just gotta try to stop avoiding the narratives get thrown at us all during the off season, and so I think guys like me and you, we just stick with that and just try to pick from those teams.
Yeah.
And it's a tough way. I've learned this year. Every year I try to learn something. I always said quarterback wasn't important in fantasy. Now I feel like it really isn't.
Well, after last year, you said that you were like, there's no way you can leave a draft without having a top 5 quarterback in fantasy.
Yeah.
Because the fall off is so great. But that being said, you have Sam Howell, who's literally second in the entire NFL in passing yards this year, and has a ton of touchdowns. So it's like, I don't know. It's tough. But I will say this about the Giants. Here's one thing about the Giants is that I just feel like the spots that you've been put in, right? So you start off against the Cowboys. Obviously, we're going to throw that week 1 game out 40-0 at home under the lights. You can't really say much about it. You bounce back against the Cardinals. Then you have a murderer's row. San Francisco, Seattle. You have Miami. You have Buffalo. You get a W against the Commanders, and you got to go right back and play the Jets in a game that you should have won against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And then you get the buzzsaw of Antonio Pierce playing at home after McDaniels getting fired, and now you got to go play the Cowboys in Dallas after coming off of that brutal loss to the Eagles, which we had in Circa. We were on the complete wrong side. I've said that before. The Cowboys completely dominated that game, but it just seems like your schedule is just turning into a buzzsaw of what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it is, and I mean, we can go back, we can go on and on about injuries and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to go back and talking about the Bears too much longer. But a lot of people are saying that I want to get your thoughts on this. That Fields will not be with the Bears next year. That's what they're saying. They're saying that no matter what, because of the draft picks, that he won't be on the Bears next year.
Okay. What would you, if you were a team, TJ? Let's say you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? And now we haven't found out what Kyle Trask can do, but I feel like there's a reason. There's a reason behind that. And actually, as we were talking about the Bears this morning, I get a text from JC immediately of what do you think we should give up for Fields in the offseason? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me be excited about the possibility of having a college quarterback come in and compete, instead of worrying about Justin Fields. But no. What do you think Justin Fields' trade value is on the open market right now?
I think it's extremely high.
Really?
I think that he got thrown into a really bad situation. To me, with the way Rashad White's kind of blossomed a little bit over the last 3 or 4 games, or 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And the talent around. Now, to me, every team is going to value it differently based upon what you have. But I'm not going to lie. If Fields came to Tampa, not being a Bucs fan, but being in Florida, that would create so much excitement. Does excitement lead to wins? We don't know that. But to me, giving up a mid-first round pick, I don't think is that crazy to maybe have a quarterback for the next 10 years. And it sounds like when you hear Fields now, and like when I watch him on the sidelines a little bit, it's like I feel like he's almost like getting it in a way. So I don't think he's a guy that's not coachable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's obviously won at every level, which we all know could be complete bullshit sometimes. It's not even like, it's almost unfair. Like it's if you win at every level, it's almost like I don't trust you, right? Like Trevor Lawrence won at every level. But to me, I just look at it like, yeah, you haven't, you're not going to ever have that in the pros. You're going to have to face so much adversity. I don't want you to be a loser for it, but I almost rather you have faced way more adversity than having that, he's never lost at any level, right?
It's like Desmond Ritter had never lost a home game in his career.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, and is not set up for adversity, right? So
yeah.
It's just, I would, to me, who cares, right? I mean, it's a famous stat. 33% of first-round picks hit. Give the Bears your 12th pick or 15th pick in the draft. Go get Fields.
Not giving them a first rounder for Justin Fields.
I don't see why not. I want to. Let's go see the last 5 years, 10 through 20 picks, and see what are you going to get from a second rounder? I mean,
I think like a fourth. I think a fourth is fine.
Ooh, whoa! We're not having a fire.
What do you? Okay, if you're telling me, and let me ask you this, Jeremy, straight up: if you have a choice next year between Justin Fields or Caleb Williams, who do you want?
Well, I mean, I like Caleb Williams' fire and I like his play, but I'm on team Justin Fields, so I'm still sticking with him. But I also think that with that number 1 pick, we can take Marvin Harrison. We can trade the second pick or the other pick. We could get some offensive or defensive linemen. I think that's where we're going to go. You know.
But Jeremy, you know what the problem is, and I honestly do like Fields. The problem is if you have a chance to get a top quarterback, you have to do it. You're going to lose your coach. It's got to be a fresh start. I like Fields, but if you have a chance to get Caleb Williams, you have to do it. I'm on the fence with the other quarterbacks. I don't know if they're that generational, but the way everyone talks about Caleb Williams, you bring in Caleb Williams, you bring in an offensive coach.
I think personally, you bring in Harbaugh. No, you bring in Harbaugh. Harbaugh is the head coach. Let him fill the staff out, right? Harbaugh is head coach. You draft Caleb Williams. You draft Marvin Harrison Jr. You call it a day. You have a quarterback and a wide receiver combo for the next 15 years. And you have a head coach who has historical ties to your franchise, who's an offensive guy who is known to be good with quarterbacks. I think it's a no-brainer.
Harbaugh doesn't know who's on his staff. Okay, so I mean, you're talking about it. Plus, if he does come to the NFL, he still can face some penalties for the Michigan stuff. That's the thing. He can't just leave NCAA and go to the NFL. There will be sanctions against him.
What are they going to sanction him for in the NFL, Jeremy?
I don't know.
When he's gone, bro, he's gone. There's no. You're out of it. I don't see it. I also don't think that the sign stealing thing. What's your opinion on that, by the way, TJ? The whole sign stealing thing with Michigan.
I think it's I think
it's absurd.
I think it's absurd. Now, I've heard a few coaches that I really respect, in high school and in college, talk to them individually, and I've heard them on interviews, and they say that sign stealing happens, no one cares.
Of course.
The reason why everyone's upset about Harbaugh is how far they went and creating angles to video and record and sending guys to games. That is the issue. Like,
so they were trying to cheat harder than everybody else?
yeah, but that's because it comes to the point, and honestly, it's going to be the best thing for college football, right? What are we going to have next year? Same thing the NFL has. You just have a mic in the quarterback's ear and you send in the play, right? 15 seconds in the play clock, the mic gets shut off. So everybody agrees it's a blessing in disguise. It's a joke that you have to have a guy hold up 3 signs. You have to have 4 people sending in the plays. 3 are dummies. One's actually the hot guy that the quarterback has to look at. Just put a mic in his ear. I know that financial-wise, logistics-wise, is a pain in the ass, and that was probably 3 to 5 years away. Now it's just going to happen, and it's going to happen next year. Thank you, Harbaugh. Thank you for what you did. Now go to the NFL and go win again.
No, I'm 100% with you. I just don't see the huge issue in the sign stealing thing, personally. So I don't know. To me, it's just so overblown, and it's like something that everybody does anywhere. I was listening to somebody talk about. They were talking about when the Longhorn Network was the first thing to come onto ESPN. Some of you probably won't remember this because you're too young, but this is years ago, and it was a network devoted to Texas Longhorn football, and they recorded every single practice. Every single practice, there was cameras out there filming the practice so that the fans could watch the practices. Well, guess who else has access to that? Every single team that Texas plays. Yeah. So we're really gonna nitpick here and say this guy went to this stadium to record this when I literally have an entire recorded practice that I can pull from? What are we? And the fact that Ryan Day and bitch-ass Ohio State is the one who actually started this, from reports that I hear, is just even more of just makes me just sick to my stomach, dude. Could you imagine if Cristobal did that? And I also wanted your opinion on this, not to transition too hard, but could you imagine if, Mike Norvell, Miami was having a good year, right? And Mike Norvell was a whistleblower on the University of Miami for they're trying to steal our signs for this game, blah 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 blah. Just get out of here, dude. Absolutely ridiculous.
Let's be real. I dealt with a whistleblower 2 days ago in our 40 and over men's softball team, and I still haven't slept a wink, right?
Oh man! Shout out Jimmy from Homan's Heroes,
Yeah, thanks Jimmy. But you know what I think is really funny though, Jeff, is that that there's 25 or 30 coaches right now that have their best IT guy going through their computer and phones saying delete everything we have about science.
100%.
Because we obviously know he's not the only guy. We all understand it's the people are upset that he was recording and going to such great lengths. But we can at least throw a minimum 8 to 10 coaches are at least doing this, and we can say we want to
8 to 10 in the Big Ten.
For sure, everybody.
Right? and what's so funny about football is that teams aren't really reinventing the wheel. Football's been around for 100 years. So when you run defense, you're running 4-3 or 3-4 cover 3, or you're running man, or you're running some sort of mix of corner stay, corner go. Like Dion said, even if we know the play that they're running, you still have to stop it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and
for sure.
You're also putting your eggs, what, if we knew the Eagles signals, are we going to stop the push? You know what I'm trying to say?
It's coming every time.
Yep. And also, a lot of, so let's say you go through all this hassle and you guess the right play. Now you have to assume the quarterback isn't going to
audible.
Or a lot of times he has 2 or 3 options when he says hike, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, if it's a run play, there's always a hot receiver at hike that he can just whip it out to. So, I mean, we can go on and on. It's overblown. They're saying Harbaugh might get 2 games, and it's ridiculous. Who cares?
I agree.
He likes to win. He's a pretty much stand-up guy. He's been a quarterback in the NFL and in college, right? In the college and in the NFL for years. He's won at every level. He's not a cheater on that level, right? He's not. The cheating isn't helping him win the way he's had success in his career.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's unbelievable. But hey, I want to go. Because I'm on some sort of a time limit here.
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain about one team. To me, the most impressive team I've seen this year, and the reason why I've seen it is because I don't even think they're close to their potential when it comes to the NFL, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. It pains me to say that because obviously a couple of our close buddies are Ravens fans.
God, Sean Munson is just insufferable.
Yeah, but to me, it is scary to think. Like, when you watch them play, I truly watch them and I'm like, this is the first time Lamar Jackson's had weapons. And they don't even have to use it yet. They have we don't know how good their defense is. It looks really good, but, we don't know how great. But to me, once the Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, OBJ kind of thing gets going with that offensive line, with this new offensive coordinator, which I feel like they haven't really had to gel, so they haven't done it yet. To me, this is a team which I wish I would have bought stock in a month ago and put a couple points on their Super Bowl odds. It's a scary team.
I think this week is going to be a good test for them against this Cleveland defense because Cleveland is so good on so many levels on defense, right? Secondary is really good. They probably have the best pass rush in the NFL. Backers can fly around the field. So for me, I think this is the test of the week right here is going to be Cleveland and Baltimore. And listen, these NFC North games tend to go haywire sometimes. If you look at that division is I didn't think it would be one of the best. I still think the Steelers are absolute frauds. Been outgained
5-3, but they're frauds.
They've been outgained in 8 games in a row, but they're 5-3. So it's like, how do we really calculate that? I agree. I think and it's funny, right? Lamar goes out in the third quarter. Everybody else stays in. And Tyler Huntley just takes him right down the field in the exact same offense and is just replaced. They're interchangeable, and I think that's the one thing is that they have committed to this system and this type of quarterback. They've gone all in on it. It's not going to be a situation where you have a running quarterback like Anthony Richardson who goes out and all of a sudden we have to reconfigure the offense for Gardner Minshew. They've bought into this entire thing. Harbaugh's a fantastic coach. That defense, they've just gotten great value everywhere. Whether it be Kyle Hamilton, who they picked up at safety, who's just an absolute monster out of Notre Dame, who we loved out of Notre Dame, ends up falling in the draft. I just think they drafted really well. You talk about quarterbacks in the last 20 years who have been drafted in the later rounds who have gone on to do great things, none other than Lamar Jackson, right? Getting picked with what was the last pick of the first round that he went, or was it the first pick of the second? One of the two. Anyway, but he goes there. Ozzie Newsome's last pick ends up being generational. I agree. I think the Ravens are absolutely the favorites right now to win the AFC, way over the Chiefs. I've seen a lot of holes in the Chiefs, and I don't think that those holes by the Chiefs are fixable, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, with the Chiefs, it's how far can Andy Reid, Mahomes,
scheme,
Kelsey get you, right? Like,
yeah.
I always say this about a great defense. Like, so far, like we say the Chiefs are at least a top 5 defense. Is that football is such a game of inches that you could still be a good defense and give up 3 or 4 touchdowns. Like the Chiefs aren't going to win the Super. If they win the Super Bowl, we're not going to say, oh, the defense was right. I mean, it's going to be up to Andy Reid, Mahomes, and Kelsey. I mean, they're a team you can never, just say, hey, they don't have a chance to win it. But
I just think their weapons are very different this year. Right, like you can't tell me. And look, Rashee Rice maybe makes that step, but you can't tell me that like Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, and Rashee Rice as your 3 wide receivers, it's not doing it for me. And all you have is Travis Kelce, which the guy is the best at finding a hole in his zone. And if you play zone against Mahomes, he's gonna pick you apart because somehow that connection is just gonna work out. But if you look at the Chiefs before Chris Jones got there and after Chris Jones got there, it's amazing how one player changes that defense so much.
No, I mean, we've said that for years, and we saw Aaron Donald pretty much win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
For the Rams. I mean, they now you look back. I mean, I think McVay's a good coach, but Donald pretty much stole the Rams Super Bowl, right? And then Chris Jones. The Chiefs probably don't win the Super Bowl last year if it wasn't for Chris Jones.
100%.
So, I mean, it goes back to, we all know this: get a quarterback, get a good D tackle, and an offensive-minded coach, and figure it out.
And then just draft defense. Just draft defense and spend money on offense is like what I feel like every team should just do. Draft defense at every single position. You never have to pay the defense. They're always on rookie contracts, and then you just pay the offense and have a great offense with veteran dudes on there.
You taught me that too. Going back to what you just said, I mean, it's the most important thing isn't you're drafting a defense strictly because of money.
Correct.
Because you could literally have, because let's be real. There's not one defensive back in the NFL that runs a 4.6 40, right? So they all run between a 4.3 and a 4.5 40. But you get enough guys that are, talented that you can coach, and you pay them, X amount a year. You go pay your quarterback, and that's the blueprint. I think it's so funny how money has evolved the NFL. Because remember, I want to say Stafford, and I can't remember a couple others, got drafted and got that huge contract right away, right? Then the NFL said, hey, we're going to do the rookie contract.
Sam Bradford. Yeah, Sam Bradford was the last one.
Yeah, Bradford. Yeah, that's actually who I meant to say. But it's funny how you put a rule in, like, hey, you have to be on a rookie contract first, and how it changes everything when it comes to roster construction.
Trickle down.
Last thing I really want to talk about, and I brought this up on our little group chat yesterday, and Tyson brought it up 100 episodes ago. But it is crazy how bad some backup quarterbacks and third-string quarterbacks are. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm not saying I can play quarterback in the NFL, but it's crazy to think, do we only have like 15 or 20, maybe 25 amazing quarterbacks in the 350 million U.S. population?
In the world, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, like, no disrespect to Badgett, but I'm watching him yesterday. I'm like, the chances of this guy making the right read and then delivering the ball, it's like, it feels like him making the right read is a 25% chance. And then it's another 20% chance that he's going to actually deliver the ball, that if he finds the guy open.
That's my quarterback you're talking about.
Yeah, that's my quarterback. I mean, and look, we can say the same thing about the Giants, right? With DeVito, it's insane. And to think that, like, it's funny because we watch preseason sometimes, right? And I know. My good buddy Chad Breen yells at me about this all the time, but, like, I'll watch preseason and I'll be like, Jordan Love is going to be a monster this year. Daniel Jones and Darren Waller have a connection that I think is just amazing. Listen, Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley are balling out of their mind. Going to be a great year for them. So there's these certain things that we see. We see Dorian Thompson-Smith, right? Is that his name? The kid from Cleveland, right? He looks amazing in preseason for the Browns. Steps into his first game in the NFL and is absolutely atrocious. So there's this drop-off, I feel like, when you start getting down and, injuries or whatever starts happening where now these guys come in and it looks terrible. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to agree with me on that, TJ, but I just feel like the preseason makes us see these guys in some kind of a light because they're on a football field playing against other men and they look fantastic. And then we get into actual games where you're playing the ones and it's not the same thing.
No, exactly right, and that's where I was transitioning when Jeremy's like, "Oh, that's my quarterback you're talking about." I mean, as a Giant fan, we didn't trust DeVito to throw. Like even
you're playing the Jets though. You're playing the Jets. It's windy. There's like a lot of factors that went into that as well too. I think, and I said this to Tyson. I had no problem with what you did whatsoever. I had no problem with you not throwing the ball. You're playing the Jets. It's windy out. You have a brand new kid in there. You're winning the game. Your defense is stopping them. They're literally not gaining a yard on offense. The Jets were. So if I'm looking at that as a coach and I'm saying we're going to get out of here with a dub, doesn't matter. Keep punting the ball. Punters are going to be our MVPs today. Blah blah blah. I had no problem with it.
It was more of the Raiders game. There's a couple other things. I mean, obviously, I can talk sports to you all day. I love your guys' show, so I'm going to bounce on to another topic. What are your watching Tua in Germany on that Chiefs game?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there were some obvious. Oh, sorry, hold on one second.
He looked like what we thought Tua was going to be coming into the league before he got Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
And I'm of the opinion that Tua is the perfect quarterback for the Mike McDaniel system, right? Like, he is amazing in that system. Do I think that Tua would be the same quarterback in another system? Absolutely not. But this is a perfect scenario where it's all meshed together for him.
It is, but it's going to be something where, is he a guy that can get you to the promised land? I mean, Jeff, 3rd and 4th down. 3rd down on the final drive, the ball slips out of his hand. 4th down, he drops a snap.
Lack of mental focus. I mean, that's the only thing I can equate that to. That's not a physical thing. That's just a lack of mentally focusing. Now, is that concussion related still? You know, I mean, we don't know, and I'm not going to speculate. But I think concussions take a little bit more time than what we want to admit to get over, and especially at the quarterback position, in my opinion. I think the reason that we've seen a guy like Brock Purdy struggle the past few weeks is because of concussion-related things. Now, do I think having a week off and a week bye is going to be the difference for Brock Purdy going against this Jacksonville defense in Jacksonville? I don't know, man. Like, I think he might need a month. Is that crazy to say? I'm going to continue to fade the 49ers because of the concussion, because he doesn't have Trent Williams back. You know, I think at the end of the day, the problem with the Dolphins, and I want to see what Vic Fangio does with having both these corners on the field together and the defense in terms of how it was constructed to be, with having Howard and having Ramsey on the outside and allowing him to be able to get pass rush and allowing them to play press man and make guys beat them over the top with Javon Holland in the back. I don't know. Can Mike McDaniel get it done? Is that lackadaisical, cool attitude going to work in the playoffs? Would be my question. What are your thoughts?
And I also do say, I kind of put like Tua, Purdy, and Drew Brees in this same category where there is just so much less margin for error and so much faster you have to process. That the big word this year, right? And I've used it, everyone used it, is processing information, right?
Of course.
Herbert, Mahomes can process information later because their arms are stronger. Tua, Brock Purdy need to make the decisions quicker because they can't make that snap throw to the far sidelines, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see, like Drew Brees, won a Super Bowl. But it's a.
But like we talked about this last year, right? My issue with Brady and with Rodgers was never physical. Like there was a small physical decline, but because of the mental decline that I feel like they had at an older age, right? In terms of just processing that information and having your synapses fired that quickly, that was what made a difference, right? All of a sudden now that little, 0.25 of a second. Right now, Brady looks down at the line because now he's uncomfortable because he's used to getting it out at a certain spot. Same thing with Rodgers last year. Thought it was the same thing.
No, yeah.
What are your thoughts? So real quick, because we got to get on to circuit picks, so I'm going to have to let you go. But thoughts on Miami and Florida State this weekend?
I've never been so unexcited for a game when it comes to Miami, Florida State. I mean, it's embarrassing to say this, but in a sad way, the rivalry isn't what it used to be because, let's be real, this used to be pretty much
1 versus 2.
The winner, and the winner had a chance to win it all, right? And we can all agree, Florida State hasn't looked amazing, but they're winning every game they can play.
Yeah.
And there will be riots if they don't make the Final Four. If they
undefeated.
I know that's a long shot, but
there's a narrative there.
There's a narrative there for sure because Washington. I mean, when it comes down to it, Washington will probably jump at it. They both went out, but we always talk about this, and it's what if. But in a way, of course, I always want to beat you guys, but I also think that college football is very level this year. And even though you guys haven't looked amazing, if you go to the Final Four, you have a serious shot at winning it. Like, it's not like you're not one of those teams like Cincinnati where you're getting there and or like Notre Dame you're definitely getting blown out.
Right.
So.
I was saying that before. I was like, me and you will never forgive Desmond Ridder for not cashing that over against Alabama that year.
Yeah, I still hate him. Every time I hear his name,
it just sends chills up my spine, bro. I'll never forget I had COVID. We were blaming it. Whatever. Yeah, thanks.
I have one I have one good circuit pick for you. I feel like, take it for what it's worth. I think the Colts go into Germany and blow the doors off of the Patriots. I don't think it will be close. Colts have beaten the Texans this year. They They had another big win. I can't believe I just forgot it. I'm driving now, so. Well, anyways, you can look it up real quick. But the Colts have had some big wins. Jonathan Taylor's back and healthy. Colts -2.5. Book it. Lead pipe, whatever you want to call it.
5-star lead pipe.
Yeah, 5-star lead pipe.
Colts beat the Ravens week 3, so.
Yeah, that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So they beat the Ravens. They beat the Texans earlier in the year, but they're a good football team. They're well balanced. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. It's a shame what happened to Richardson, but to me, they should have beat the Browns, right? They had the Browns on the ropes.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. It should be a good week at NFL. Love to see it. We're going to break down Circa right now. Listen, have a good one. Tell Tinsley I said, hey, enjoy picking her up. I'll talk to you later.
I will, buddy. All right, guys. Great.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, TJ.
All right. Well, I didn't expect to just get into Circa 50 minutes into the show, but sometimes we just start going and talking, and this is what it is when me and TJ get together. It is what it is. Anyway, all right.
Fun news for you all. You guys were
in
your chat.
Please.
The Arizona Cardinals have announced Kyler is with a post that says "I'm back."
Cool. I'm back as he's playing Modern Warfare 3 right now. I guarantee it.
Call of Duty, he's on there.
Let's get into some circuit picks. We'll try to kind of run through these real quick and just kind of break down the games that we have going this week. I'm going to do everything in terms of lines for you guys out there off of the new Hard Rock Bet app. So if you have not heard, here in the state of Florida, you now have the Hard Rock Bet app that you can go on. You are able to legally wager. You want to sign up, make sure you link your player number that you have through everything from the Hard Rock Hotel or casino itself to the app. That way you get all your rewards linked to it as well too, and you can go ahead and sign up and get early access. If not, you got to wait a little bit. So, but just listen, get signed up, get in there. And these are
signed up and we had it ready within 30 minutes.
He literally, he signed up, he linked this thing, and they say, oh, you're good in 1 hour. And so he was able to bet that night if he wanted to. So just a couple things. I'm just going to kind of run through every game and kind of give you a lean and tell you what I think and what we have. And if you want to kind of chime in with what your thoughts are or what you think is going to happen, please, by all means. So we just heard Colts Patriots is going to kick us off for us, 9:30 a.m. This game is going to be in Germany. Gardner Minshew versus Mac Jones. You have Shane Steichen versus Bill Belichick. Did you see that video of Belichick, by the way, that was sent to the group last night by Paul? Of Belichick stumbling out of a house in Southie with a shirt off. Looks like he's on a bender and just got off of somebody's bed. I don't know. It was interesting. You should definitely check it out. I think it was like a hashtag Bill Bender or something like that that went through it. So it was pretty funny. Yeah, Colts -1.5. Over under is 42.5. For me, I'm not touching the total, but give me the Colts here -1.5. I just think they're the better football team, better run game. Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, that offensive line. I like their weapons. I have my question: who is Mac Jones throwing the ball to right now? We can talk about how bad Mac Jones is. He still can't throw the ball to anybody. Colts, absolutely the play here, -1.5. I don't know if this will be a circuit pick for me because I don't know if I'll get there. Me and Tyson will have to chop that up and figure it out. But
looking at all the games, man, there's a lot of tough games. I think that might be one that
it'll be one of the ones in rotation. But there's some other ones that I absolutely love, and we'll get to a few of those. So,
and by the way, we don't shame people on benders here on the Informed Fan. Okay, no bender shaming.
No, I mean I've been on an 18-year bender. It's not that big of a deal. How long has yours lasted? Moving on, we got Niners and Jags. Right now, the line on the Hard Rock app is -3.5 +100. We have it in circa at +3. I'm sorry, +3 for Jacksonville, which is going to probably be one of my circa picks this week. I think the Jaguars are just in such a good spot here. They're coming off of a bye. Trevor Lawrence, that knee has been banged up, an extra week of rest now. It looks like Zay Jones might be back as well too. No Trent Williams practicing yesterday for the 49ers, so that'll be a close thing to monitor. If Trent Williams does not play, this is an automatic fire on spot. I love Jacksonville here, but I'm still fading San Francisco until I see Brock Purdy look right and I see Trent Williams back healthy. Just my thoughts. Now, they added Chase Young, so this will be fun with Chase Young, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Jaguars, they won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
They're all in different venues.
Wow.
Wembley Stadium, Tottenham Hotspur, Everbank, the Superdome, and then at Chrysler Stadium before the bye. That's or whatever it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The last game that the Jags played at home, I believe, was the Texans game against C.J. Stroud. We're talking 6 weeks ago. So you're talking week 3 or 4, I believe, and they went out and laid an absolute egg. Jacksonville did. That game was just so funky. There was like a kickoff return that went back for a touchdown by a fullback because they were trying to squib it. It was just the weirdest game that the Texans end up coming out. We were on the Texans that day as well too, but by the grace of God we got there. But yeah, very, very interesting to me as well.
Yeah, they're 0-2. They're 0-2 at home.
Correct.
They're 2-0 in neutral site games. So yeah, they're 0-2. KC and then Houston.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but what Jaguars team is going to show up? Like you said, Trevor Lawrence looked good. Calvin Ridley has done well. Christian Kirk's been real good there. I've been riding the back of Travis Etienne all season long in my fantasy. It was bad for me last week when it was on a bye. I scored a grand total of 68 points. That was fun. So we're looking to get some points back.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the over-under is on Trevor Lawrence rushing yard prop is. I know I can probably find it on here, but I just don't know how to do it. But that would be an interesting thing to me because I feel like Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys who's a very smart quarterback, and you're talking about when you get those ends in terms of Bosa and Young pushing up, I think Trevor Lawrence will find little avenues to hopefully try to get out. But then again, it's like you're trying to get past Hargrave and Greenlaw and Armstead, and it's a murderer's row. Hargrave's questionable. Okay, well that's good news for a Jacksonville backer. Next game is going to be who do you like here, Niners or Jags?
I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. At home, I think they can figure out a way to do it. They've been studying Chase Young for 2 weeks now. It basically is what the Cam Robinson said he's been doing. He's been just studying for 3 hours a day, just in the Washington place. So he's been, I think it should be an interesting matchup, but I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to come down to that field goal.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the 3 here. Give me Jacksonville all day. I'm going to try to convince Tyson to put it in Circa to make some of our picks going. Do you know what place we're in Circa, by the way?
We are in 133rd.
133rd. Love that for us. So listen, we need another positive week. Hopefully we crack that top 100. You know what's crazy? The public this year, so as much shit as we give about the public and where their bets are going and so on and so forth, the public this year is, I think, 58% right now against the spread total. So public has been absolutely raking. It's got to be kind of a regression to a mean, but I don't know. What are we going to do? Ravens, Browns. This one's going to be in Baltimore. Ravens -6.5. It's a lot of points, no?
A lot of points. But, I think that as you alluded to last week or 2 weeks ago when we were talking, it was last week, Philly versus Dallas. Who's got the better line? Who's got the better D-line? Who's got the better defense? Who's got the better quarterback? You look at all that. I'm taking Ravens.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think Ravens, obviously, to win the game, right? If you want a money line at a -300, I don't mind that because I definitely think the Ravens win this game. But the Browns, I don't know. It's just weird to me. And they just lost Willis, one of their really good offensive linemen that they had out of Alabama. They drafted a few years ago. But there's just some weird trends here. Like Harbaugh by 3.5 or more against the spread. Favored is 5-14 the last 3 years. Divisional home favorites since 2015 are 45% against the spread. So numbers are telling us that we should back Cleveland here, but to me this is just a stay away game. Just sit back, watch. We have much better places to put our money this week that we can target for you.
And you always say the North always has a weird score.
There's a weird numbers.
A safety.
Like a 5 comes into play somehow with a safety or a missed extra point or just, I don't know. It's just the AFC North football is really tough sometimes. Excuse me. Steelers Packers. You got Steelers minus 3.5. Minus 3.5 plus 100. So even money at minus 3.5. Listen, Hard Rock, you guys are sneaky here. I see what you guys are doing. You guys are hanging half points when everybody else has a regular number to try to get the even money people to back a bad number here. I would not touch minus 3.5 on Pittsburgh. I don't know if I would touch plus 3.5 on Green Bay, though. At minus 120, that just seems like a little bit of a steep price for me. I think it's another stay-away game. There are some stats that say the Steelers have been the luckiest team in the NFL the last 3 years. Obviously, we mentioned the Steelers have been outgained all 8 games that they've played so far. That being said, they're still 5-3. I still think this defense has major problems, especially in the secondary. To me, it's a no bet. I'll probably pick an upset here in our pick'em and go with Green Bay, just because I'm a sicko. But what are your thoughts?
Oh man, no, I made that video 2 weeks ago. We stay away from Green Bay. Okay, we don't bet on Green Bay. It's plus.
I'm saying we're not betting Green Bay, but I'm taking him and pick him.
I know. I'm just saying the Packers are plus 3 on Circa. TJ gave us a great stat earlier that said New York has scored 102 points. Your New York Football Giants second worst, 132. Third worst, the Pittsburgh Steelers were mediocre by 133 points. That's just, I didn't even know the Bears had scored 204 points. That was amazing to me. But yeah, Packers, Steelers, it's going to be something stupid. Steelers are going to get a defensive touchdown because, as both of you and I have done, we've backed Jordan Love and Christian Watson, and we would back them no more. So I think I'm going to take the Steelers, drop the points.
If you would like one of my first half favorite bets, it is going to be the under 19.5 in this Pittsburgh Green Bay game. So just something to think about. Please, by all means, gamble responsibly. If you have a problem, call 1-800-something, not me. But yes, I love the first half under here, under 19.5, one of my favorite bets as well. But I will take the Packers and pick them just to be a contrarian. I think to win pick them sometimes, you got to take some of these random 50-50 games that you don't know what's going to happen and hit on them. So, yeah.
Unless you're the person that won last week who hit every single game.
Yeah, shout out to whoever that person was. Good for them. Moving on, we got Saints-Vikings, 1 o'clock. This is going to be in Minnesota. Saints are minus 2.5 here. I think we have a minus 2 in Circa. Is that correct?
Minus 2.
Minus 2. We have minus 2.5 in Circa. We do. Okay. Yeah. So minus 2.5. A lot of money coming in on the Saints. Vikings plus 2.5 here, plus 105. If you want to take the 2.5, your thoughts first.
Actually, if Josh Dobbs can learn his teammates' names, I think I might take the Vikings plus 2.5 at home. It's a dome versus dome team, so it doesn't matter. No one's worried about the weather. But Derek Carr just hasn't looked like the Derek Carr we expected with his guy liner that he loves. It looks like he was wearing at all times. I have Michael Thomas on one of my fantasy teams. He's got 0 points four times this year. Olave was living, and then he got knocked out again, and then came back. And Taysom Hill's the only thing that's been good for that Saints offense.
I think Kamara's been pretty good.
Yeah, Kamara's looked good, but give me the Vikings at home.
I'm the complete opposite, and I'm going to try to convince Tyson this is one of our circuit picks as well, too. I love the Saints in this spot. The reason is because they should have lost to the Bears last week. They played an absolute terrible football game. But if you look at the way that they lost to the Bears, missed field goals, opportunities in the red zone. Saints have been one of the worst red zone teams in the entire NFL. Derek Carr is in the history of the NFL, one of the worst red zone quarterbacks as well. So what did the Saints do? They said, you know what? From now on the red zone, Taysom Hill, you're coming in for 50% of the plays. So they've been running this. It's funny, Brian Baldinger had a breakdown. I was listening to the Favorites podcast on Action Network, and Evan, I forget his last name, Evan was talking about they're literally running this play. It's like an option play from 1936. They put the two plays side by side, Baldinger did, and it's literally Taysom Hill back there, back runs out to the left, they run the option, he has an opportunity to throw, run the ball, but it's working at a great clip. They're getting 8 and 9 yards every play. So they've recognized their weakness, and they've gone in, they've corrected it. My only thing is this is just a fate of the Vikings. Justin Jefferson is still not back. I still have questions about that wide receiver room. KJ Osborne got absolutely blown up last week. Thank God he was okay, and he went off on his own power and got into a cart. I'm not sure if he'll play this week. Obviously, Jordan Anderson is a dog, but Marshawn Lattimore is a dog as well, too. Give me the better defense here in the New Orleans Saints, and give me a team that isn't coming off of the most emotional victory in the history of the NFL, which was Josh Dobbs beating the Falcons last week. It just seems like it's going to be a huge letdown here.
Yeah, I can see that, and yeah, they're also running with the Taysom Hill in the backfield goal line. They're bringing in Saunders, number 99, to play fullback, and it's just like, he's not going to catch it. But Jeff, if anything teaches us, what does a 99 do when they're in the backfield? They catch a touchdown pass like a Warren Sapp. Come on, man. One time, Taysom Hill finds Sapp's got a couple TDs. You know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Vita Vea's got a couple as well, too. Listen, what was his name? Dontario Pope did it for the Chiefs for a couple years as well, too, where he would get in there and play fullback as well. I love the Saints minus 2.5 here. We'll see. It's definitely in the mix for Circa. So right now, in the mix for Circa, what we have is going to be Colts minus 1.5. We have Jaguars plus 3, Saints minus 2.5, and then my other game that I absolutely love. I love the Bengals minus 6.5 here. I think the Bengals are the hottest team in the NFL. I think CJ Stroud coming off the game that he had last week. Listen, everybody is going to be on CJ Stroud, right? Everybody saw what happened last week against the Bucs, 470 yards, most ever in the history of the NFL by a rookie quarterback. The public is just going to continue to bet this, right? Like they're saying to themselves, how are you going to give me almost 7 points against the Bengals right now, whose defense has been suspect at certain points this year? Well, I'll tell you why. Look at CJ Stroud's splits when he's at home in a dome as opposed to outdoors on the road. This game's going to be played in Cincinnati. Listen, it's November in Cincinnati, all right? And I understand CJ Stroud went to Ohio State, so he gets that aspect of it as well. I can understand that argument. I just feel like it's a big letdown as well, too, here. And I do love the Bengals minus 6.5. This is one of those borderline Circa plays for me because I don't know how much I really want to fade CJ Stroud, but I'm very, very close to trying to put it in there as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think I just read something before the show that mid-season MVP picks from executives. Albert Breer did a poll. It's Lamar Jackson 1 and Joe Burrow 2 right now.
Yeah,
which is I mean, if you look at the Bengals the first 2 weeks, they were inept, they were immobile, they were everything I could think of that they would just look like trash. But this is the second or third straight year they started 0-2 or 1-2, and now they're surging. So it's gonna be Bengals minus 6.5. I agree.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on, you got Titans plus 1.5 against the Bucs. This is anywhere bouncing back between -1, +1, pick 'em. It's kind of all over the place depending on how money comes in on that day. Listen, this is a Vrabel spot that we're supposed to take the Titans in. The Bucs just got embarrassed last week by the Houston Texans. And listen, we can say a lot of things, right? Coaching wise, absolutely give me Mike Vrabel over Todd Bowles all day long. I thought the defense.
That's your coach, man. That's your coach.
Sure, yeah, he is, but I don't have any confidence in him. I haven't had confidence in him since he was named head coach. For the fact that he was named head coach because Bruce Arians said he wasn't going to get any interviews because he's black, which is racist in itself. Anyway, all that being said, I think that our defense got embarrassed last week. Rondé Barber called out Carlton Davis and called out how bad Carlton Davis was. I've called out Carlton Davis multiple times, and Carlton Davis, instead of snapping back and having a bad attitude, said, Rondé Barber's 100% correct. I played terrible last week. Our secondary looked like one of the worst in the entire NFL. It was absolutely atrocious, and it's on us to overcome it. I think as a group and as a team of men, I hope that a veteran group like that will come out against another rookie quarterback and put up or shut up. Because this is basically it, guys. All right? If you come out and you lose to Will Levis after losing to CJ Stroud in the manner that you did last week, tear it down, rebuild. We got 4 years of mediocrity again. We're absolutely done.
Yeah, I think it is. Will Levis is again going this week. I think the Bucs need it. -1, I'm taking them.
I just think the Bucs are hungrier in this spot. Like I think the Bucs are just are hungrier coming off the loss that happened last week, and I think they're going to respond in kind like they should.
They need to. Yep. And then you got them -1 in Circus.
Okay. And if you're looking for an interesting streaming option out there as well, too, the Titans have not been very good against the pass. I mean, Kenny Pickett was able to move the ball against them last week, able to put up some numbers. Deontay Johnson catches a touchdown. I do think the Bucs wide receivers and weapons and Baker Mayfield will all be viable here as well, too.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Falcons, Cardinals. starts our 4 o'clock slate right here. Cardinals, you just announced Kyler Murray coming back. Right now, this line is sitting at plus 1.5, minus 105 on Hard Rock Bet. Falcons minus 1.5. Your thoughts?
We got Falcons -2 on Circa. What is Kyler Murray going to do? He's been sidelined for 11 months. They're playing for their number 1 pick is what they are doing. If the Cardinals continue to do what they're going to do, they're going to have 1. Bears will have 2, 3. All right, that's fine. We know. But do the Cardinals take Caleb Williams then? If they are trying to tank, that's all the whole bunch of stuff that's in this. I can't ban Kyler Murray yet. Like you said earlier, Modern Warfare just dropped this week. If you order a little Caesar's pizza, you get double points.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you
guys got 15 at the house right now.
You got 15 stacked up, and you got all those double points right now. So I'm going to take, unfortunately, Taylor Heineke and the Falcons -2 on the road.
I could not agree with you more right here. I want this as one of our Circa picks. I think the public is going to overreact to Kyler Murray coming in and playing quarterback. Kyler Murray hasn't played quarterback in 2 years or a year and a half, whatever it is. I mean, he's been out for a while, and he's going to come back. There's going to be a little bit of rust on him. I hate short quarterbacks throwing to short wide receivers. I've said this multiple times. I think Kyler Murray benefited greatly from having DeAndre Hopkins, right? And we saw, even with DeAndre Hopkins, he was still terrible. So now you're telling me his number 1 target is going to be Marquise Brown. My thing is the trajectory of the football and how it gets there, right? You can throw it up to somebody if they're a taller wide receiver, but for you to be able to fit that into a window, over a lineman, over a DB, into a perfect, it's always been a pet peeve of mine. I just don't see it happening. I think the Falcons, we mentioned hungry dogs. I think the Falcons losing the manner they did to Minnesota last week. I think Arthur Smith will have them ready to go. I think Bijan will have a bounce back game here. I think the Falcons are a better football team, top to bottom. And so for that reason and that reason alone, absolutely give me the Atlanta Falcons here. And maybe
throw the ball with Bijan, please.
Yeah.
Love everything fantasy.
I just think with Algier and Bijan, they're going to be able to move the ball at will. It's going to open it up. Heineke loves to take shots, and I think Drake London coming back this week, being healthy, being ready to play, to go along with the rest of the guys in that wide receiver room. I just like it here. You look at Jonnu Smith, I mean,
come on.
Listen, it was a great play they ran last week. All right, moving on. Listen, that like I said, we're going to have that on the Circa as well, too. So Falcons, make sure you ding that on there as well. Also moving on, Lions-Chargers. Lions going across the country, coming off of a bye, playing in LA. Chargers catching 2.5 points here, plus 105 on the Hard Rock Bet app. What do you like?
Getting 3 points for the Chargers on Circa.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with the Lions. I think Jared Goff returning back to LA, and all that, and I think he's going to have a good game. It's with the Chargers, you just don't know. 1 week they look good, the next week they can't sniff a first down. It's just been the inconsistent play for Justin Herbert. His wide receivers are banged up now. Joshua Palmer went out last week on IR, so he's gone. You got Keenan Allen is the only wide receiver that's still got. Mike Williams was out last I saw, right? So
Mike Williams still out. I did pick up Quentin Johnson in the league with one of my buddies, but man, he doesn't look like he's it, man. Chargers have real problems here. I don't know. Guyton might be a nice flyer if you're looking for a DFS play as well. I love the Lions in this spot. Dan Campbell, way better coach. Jared Goff back in the dome. We're getting David Montgomery back as well too against that defense. Everything. Hammer the Lions here. Lions by 10 points without a doubt. Moving on, we got Commanders Seahawks. This game's going to be played in Seattle. Seahawks minus 6.5. Game is dead even at minus 110 both ways. I love Washington in this spot. I think Seattle is just super, super, super overrated. I think their defense is still suspect. I think Witherspoon is fine, but other than that, there's not a lot that I like about this. I like Washington in this spot too. I don't think this will be a circle play for me, but this might be a sprinkling and a pick 'em where we take a contrarian somewhere as well too.
Jeff, I'm just having some audio difficulties. I had to switch over headphones. My headphones died on me, so give me a second. I'm just trying to get this all set up.
You're good. Tyson was just saying we can barely hear you on there. We'll let Jeremy get that sorted out. Like I said, I do love Washington here just to cover the 6.5. Just seems like a good spot. Gino's been suspect. My thing is that Gino has been suspect, and if he's going to get right, it's going to be against this Washington secondary. They're not great. If he does not get right here, I think Seattle will be fadeable the rest of the year, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody who I thought Seattle had a chance to win this division. I guess technically they still do. I just don't like what I've been seeing lately from them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm back there. I think Seattle. I think they should win this game. We're going to try to hope that that Geno Smith looks like he did in the beginning of the season and not the last 2 games.
I agree. That's what I just said. I think Geno. That if Geno does not play well this week, then that glass slipper has finally been lost forever. We're never getting it back. It doesn't fit anymore. It's just not happening. So yeah, listen, give me Washington here. I understand the narrative, but I think it's like one of those things where when a team sells off sometimes, everybody's rallying around that cause of like, oh, nobody thinks we can do this. Nobody thinks we can do this. And, listen, Washington came out. They beat New England last week, which they should have. Let's see if they can cover against Seattle this week. Won't be a play for me anyway. Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys are minus 17, minus 16.5 on this book that I'm looking at right now. I want nothing to do with this.
No.
This has another 40 to nothing written all over it. The total is 38.5, and they're 17-point favorites. Just seems crazy to me.
I said it the other day to us. I said I don't think the Cowboys score, or I don't think the Giants score this game. Tyson's telling us that he hates Montgomery play, and he says that Geno's going to ball out this week.
This is where we're at.
We'll see.
This is where we're at.
Yeah, he says Geno's going to ball out, book it. I think so. You guys are going to have to hash that one out. But yeah, no, I'm not.
I just said we're not taking it in Circa. We're not taking it in Circa. We're not touching this game.
Yeah, I think Giants aren't going to score.
I tend to agree. Jets Raiders is another one of my favorites right here. Tyson's going to hate this one. Raiders Jets. It's a pick 'em in Circa. I love the Jets here. I think the Raiders, just like the same thing with Minnesota, you're coming off such an emotional win. And you're at home, everybody all week. You got referees at basketball games bouncing the ball at Devontae Adams. We see the hype about Antonio Pierce all week. I just think that this Jets defense, after what they just endured, after watching Robert Saleh on the sidelines, and them absolutely stifling the Chargers the entire game, Chargers couldn't really do anything. They couldn't move the ball. They got fortunate on Zach Wilson turnovers. I don't see the same thing happening here with this Oakland defense. So because of that, yeah, give me the absolute New York Jets right here, down in the dirty.
You know what? I think I'm going to go against you. I think the Raiders, they might have found something. I think Antonio Pierce is going to get these guys ready to go again. And Zach Wilson looks anemic. He just... There's nothing I can see. He can't make a throw. I mean, you tell me...
He threw for 280. He just turned the ball over multiple times. Can't do that.
Yeah, come on. So I'm going to take the Raiders, and it's a pick. It doesn't matter. I can win by 1 point. Guess what? A dub's still a dub.
100%. I agree with you. All right, so we're different on that. Last but not least, Sunday Night Football. We're going to go Broncos... Oh, no, that was Sunday Night Football. It's Jets Raiders. Monday Night Football, Broncos, Bills. And I want to say this, too. We've been really good at Sunday Night Football games. All right, we've been on fire on Sunday Night Football games. I think we're like 5-0 this year in Circa on Sunday Night Football games. I'm just going to put that out there. Love the Jets. Just going to say that.
3-3 on Sunday Night Football.
The Jets are 3-3 on Sunday Night Football. What?
Raiders are 4-6.
Historically?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. Thank you, though. I appreciate the stats. Very nice of you. Broncos, Bills. We have this line at 7, I believe, in Circa. Yep. Is that correct? So Bills -7, Broncos +7. My question is why? Why are the Bills 7-point favorites against the Broncos on Monday night? There's nothing that I've seen from Buffalo that tells me that this line should be 7. This line at 3.5, 4, okay. I think that's very even. But at 7, I think it's egregious. And I don't know why they hung this line, but I think it's a bad line. I love the Broncos in this spot, especially catching this number. Their defense has played so well lately. You're going to put Surtain on Diggs. Just let him run around the field. Josh Allen, how long can he stay healthy with what he's having to do right now? I just don't see it happening. That being said, I just think Javonte Williams has changed this offense a little bit on the Broncos, where they're able to manage the clock a lot better. Javonte's picking up yards at a clip. Russ is trying to get out of the pocket at least. They're Sean Payton in that offense. They're starting to kind of gel together. We saw this with the win against Kansas City, where everybody was like, "Oh, it's a flu game from Patrick Mahomes. It's an anomaly." Blah blah blah. I don't think it is. I think it's the Broncos adjusting to a new coach, a new culture, a new style, a new everything, and trying to get back to winning football ways. I like the Broncos on the money line here, and I'll be taking them on Monday night.
Broncos and points, I like that as well. Little stat for you: Buffalo's produced more punts, 14, than touchdowns, 13 in the last 5 games.
Yeah.
So they can't score. We've seen it. They're not utilizing everybody properly. And don't get me. I love going to our local watering hole, but let me tell you, it's so nice when they walk out of there silent.
Homie, like I try to rush out of work. Like Monday night, I would try to rush out of work to get there just to see the walk of shame.
I love my Monday night cut shift because I get there in the second half, and man,
that Bucks game, I could hear people's buttholes tightening while we were sitting there, and the Bucks were like starting to cover, and then all of a sudden we had a Hail Mary, and everybody there, you could hear a pin drop in that bar, bro. It was fantastic.
And being back there was like 5 Bucks fans sitting there. You guys are all in your jerseys and you're surrounded by Buffalo.
Yeah, well, whatever, bro. We don't care.
The nice people in front of you. You guys were betting, so that's why you made friends.
Yeah, but like we're very satirical. I don't know, fan base. Like we understand what's going on. We're not trying to like pretend like we're something that we're not. We know that we're not winning a Super Bowl. Right, but we know we're not winning a Super Bowl, so we are very self-aware. I feel like, and I think that's a good thing in this day and age as well too.
Broncos +7.
Broncos +7 in circle. Lock that up right now. And I don't know. It's just something about going into Monday night and like I can just see where like we're 2-2 going into Monday night. And, like this is what it all rides on. It's Russell Wilson in Buffalo.
I mean, Denver's last game, they snapped their 0-16 streak against KC. So Denver's in a great mindset,
Coming off of a bye, like they didn't sell. They kept Jerry Jeudy. They kept Cortland Sutton, Javonte back. Hopefully, other people getting back healthy as well too. All right, just a few things that I have for you real quick. We're gonna just touch on some college and then we'll be done. Florida State taking on Miami this week. It's a 14-point spread. It is at 3:30. It is at Doak Campbell Stadium. You already know what side I'm on. I don't think I'd take the 14. I think Miami shows up. This is going to be their Super Bowl for the year. They don't really have anything else to play for. First, they already locked up a spot in the ACC Championship. It looks like they will be playing Louisville, who will probably be top 10 by the time that's all said and done in that game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here? Cristobal, Van Dyke, Miami. I mean, it's gonna be Florida State, Miami. It is what it is.
I mean, I remember growing up watching these games in Illinois. And these were the games like we were like, holy crap! First off, it's sunny and warm down there.
Yeah.
And then these guys would just knock the crap out of each other. It was a street fight, to be honest. So I think I'm liking it. I think Florida State wins. I'm taking 14 for them. I'm giving Miami +14.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep it close. Like you said, it's their Super Bowl. They've got it. They've got to win this. They're already bowl eligible. They're 6-3, but they had some real laid some eggs this year. So let's go. But you won't hear me say this a lot, but go Florida State.
Go Noles, baby. Let's go, man. Come on. I don't know why you hate us so much. You always show up and you're like, oh, I hate Florida State, but I'll root for you, bro. I'll root for you. Real quick, I just want to say, Michigan, Penn State, number 3 versus number 10. It's a huge matchup in the Big Ten. Penn State at home, catching 4.5 points against this Michigan team. Thoughts?
Penn State on the road. It's at the Big House.
Oh, it's at the Big House. Why do they have them flipped on this thing?
I don't know. Yeah, at the Big House. You know what? I think, in all honesty, this sounds so.
No,
easy.
it's not. It's not the Big House.
I got Michigan at home.
No, it's NPA.
Oh, then they flipped it on ESPN on me. Then they had it.
No, it's NPA. It's NPA. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Home team's on the bottom.
Fine. Not on this one I was looking at. Anyway, 50-50 right now. That's what they got it on ESPN. I think Jim Harbaugh and the boys. I also hate Michigan as well. I think they come out and say big double fingers to the NCAA, big double fingers to the Big Ten, and say, try to stop us now. And I think they put up a 50 spot here.
50 spot. So I was going to say, I'm just going to say it's a 12 o'clock game in the Big Ten. Give me the under 44 and a half. I watched Penn State play against Ohio State.
It's better than Ohio State.
That was as bad a football as I have seen from two top-ranked teams as you can get. All right, moving on. We'll look at some other top 25 matchups real quick.
Big one here in Orlando.
Yeah, we got Oklahoma State and UCF, right? 3:30.
State, yeah.
UCF plus 2.5 against Oklahoma State.
The bounce house. Oklahoma State coming off a big win in Bedlam last week over Oklahoma. People are trying to figure out, why is Oklahoma State only a 2.5 point favorite here?
Seems ridiculous.
That seems very, very low. And so I think what it is UCF, they got their first win in the Big 12. Congratulations to them. Yeah, they beat Cincinnati, so everyone's like, oh, that really doesn't matter. I'll tell you this. Getting that first win, getting, as we like to say, off the schneid, UCF is going to take that momentum and go against an Oklahoma State team that may be a little too high. But UCF, I think they're trending in the right way. They need to get bowl eligible. They've got 4 wins so far. They've got a couple more on the schedule that they could win. So I'm going to take UCF in the points at home. The only drawback to this game is the student section. There's going to be nobody there. You know why, Jeffrey? EDC, baby.
Oh yeah, that's it. Give me Oklahoma State minus 2.5. Lock of the week right now. All right, there is nobody in the stands for this game. And I was gonna say too, I'm like, man, like this would be the perfect. Like UCF wins this, they rush the field. They've never rushed the field in the bounce house ever. It's never happened before. This would be a perfect opportunity. Catching a low number.
It's
I'll
tell you why they haven't done it at the bounce house. It's because it's a 7.5 foot drop. There's going to be a lot of broken ankles on those girls wearing cowboy boots. Let me tell you that.
Figure it out.
So nobody's doing that.
They'll figure it out. Like Tyson said, we do have Florida going into LSU at 7:30. 14.5 points. That's a lot of points.
Valley.
It's a lot of points. Listen, give me the 14.5 on Florida. I'm not taking the money line. I'm sorry, Tyson. I love you. It is plus 500 on your Hard Rock bet app if you want to go ahead and get that in. But listen, the fact that this total is 66.5 just tells you that they think that it's going to be a back and forth. LSU doesn't play great defense. Florida can move the ball a little bit on offense. Man, that was a terrible loss to Arkansas last week. Really just
felt bad looking at that one.
Really, really bad because it looks like they're not going to be able to be bowl eligible now. So terrible for them. Let's see. Other than that, do we have a Dion game this week?
Looking on that, I don't know why, but ESPN has all of a sudden gone European, and all the home teams are on the top. And I'm looking at the scores here. This is I just realized I look like a complete. They're playing Arizona, hosting Arizona. 10.5 point favorite. Arizona is.
Okay. Arizona's 10.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We saw Arizona take USC.
No, I like Arizona. That's why I was hoping that this would be like a public thing where they're like 3.5 points or something like that. Anyway, I probably wouldn't touch this game then. Maybe a sprinkle on Colorado 10.5. Utah, Washington. Utah going into Washington 3:30 in the afternoon. Minus 8.5, plus 8.5 for Utah. Any thoughts?
Utah's played great. Washington, Michael Penix Jr. from the Tampa Bay area, covered him in high school. I remember watching him when he was at Indiana. I think he takes it. Utah's still got their number 2 quarterback who's done well, but I think Washington's the better team. And Jeff, like you said earlier, if they go undefeated, you're afraid they're going to hop. Don't worry. One of the other teams is going to lose.
Well, my thing about that, the whole scenario is that if you look at 1 through 4, right? And listen, Florida State will get a better quality win if they win the ACC championship, and that's assuming not on what they win the next 3 games as well too. My problem is that, so let's say Georgia plays Alabama in the SEC championship game. All right, let's say at that point Alabama has moved up to 5 or 6. Okay, Alabama beats Georgia.
They both go in. We know that scenario.
So then you're talking. So then you're talking. Alabama and Georgia are both in. and the winner of Ohio State Michigan is in. Okay, so that's 3 right there, and then you have, I mean, if Washington goes undefeated, and here's the other problem too. Now you would have an undefeated Florida State outside looking in on 2 teams that lost. 2 one-loss teams are both going to make it ahead of them. It would be unfortunate, to say the least. That would be my thing. But listen, that being said, Georgia does have a little test this week against Ole Miss. I don't really think it's going to be a test. Lane Kiffin just continuously shits the bed in these situations here. 10.5 seems like a pretty correct number. I think it'll be around that. But if you want to, take Ole Miss first half, take Georgia second half, call it a day. Just what's going to happen.
Final game that caught my eye is Oregon USC.
Oregon USC. It's
prime time. A little back after dark.
This will be. Oh, we get 10:30, and we're gonna get out of work. Me and Ian will get out of work, and we'll be like, oh, you want to take USC live? They're down 14-0. We can get them at plus 1,200 right now on the money line, and we'll go ahead and grab that. So.
Put your $10 where your mouth.
I can already tell you exactly where it's going to go and how it's going to happen. So here we are.
I mean, I saw that line 15.5. I'm like, we even talked about Caleb Williams earlier in the show. How is this generational quarterback going to get 15 points?
What do you mean? What do you mean when you say that?
USC, we all talked about how good USC was. I know they've dropped 3 of their last 4 games, but man, can Caleb Williams not do it against Oregon's defense? I don't think Oregon's defense is that great.
I think they're pretty good. And by the way, the one guy who I hope falls to the Bucs in this draft is Michael Penix. I think it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You got a kid coming back home to Tampa, is a lefty quarterback. He can make all the throws. He's got great touch. He gets out of the pocket. I think he's a great prototypical NFL quarterback. That's just. I know me and John Pippleton, who shout out to JP for tuning in earlier. I saw you make a comment, but it's tough because I don't have the. Anyway, there's a lot going on right now. So anyway, yeah, I really hope Penix kind of drops to us, and we'll see what goes on from there. And if you're looking for a little degenerative action, you do have Air Force versus Hawaii at 11 o'clock starting tomorrow. So that should be fun as well too.
Yeah, little late night games for you guys when you get out of work. I will be off work already. I get off at 5. Because I'm in my day shifts tomorrow.
Tyson says that Florida shocks the world. Okay. I like that.
Florida shocks the world.
Good for him. All right, well, we appreciate everybody tuning in today. Thank you so much. Listen, if you're listening back, we thank you as well, too. Make sure to please just drop a like, subscribe. If you want to, you can follow me on Twitter at @OffTheSchneid. He is at @kickball_legend as well, too. The 3-time Jeremy Swinson. I am Jeff Schneider. Any last final parting shots you got, Jeremy?
And I got an exciting day. I'm ready to go.
Going to Epcot, a little drinking around the world.
Tickets for a concert. Yeah, I got my tickets for a concert this morning. Big shout out to Jacob Bryant for calling me and reminding me.
Shout out, James.
And then, Epcot today. Let's go.
Cool. Well, enjoy yourself. Make sure.
Always start in Mexico.
Start in Mexico. We'll get a little tequila in us in Mexico, a little avocado margarita. We'll make our way around. I'm assuming we'll probably make a stop off in Italy to try to get in there as well too. We'll then migrate over to America. From America, we'll bounce over to France. Grandma Ye slushies will be on deck. We will hit the Rose and Crown. Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, I might have to see some friends in there.
Might have to go see some friends, maybe a little car bomb or something like that to get us going.
Yeah, go with that.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever it is when you drop Jameson and Bailey's into a half pint of Guinness, that shot, and then from then we'll end up right back for a little chips and salsa at the Tequila Hut in Mexico. So
always end with poutine, my friend. Always end with poutine.
I look for but you're going to go back to Mexico after, so you're not technically ending with poutine. All right.
Right.
Anyway. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate everybody who tuned in. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to follow us on Instagram as well, too, at The Uninformed Fan for all the official circuit picks. We'll also have our locks of the day. Me and Tyson both 6-3 going in for the year. Listen, be great. Thanks so much, everybody.